Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we're doing 1995's Heat. Before we get into it all, if you would like to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you could follow me at Junior D's. You could follow Corey at Idle Poncho. Let's get into this. This is the cast and crew of 1995's Heat.
Everybody that was in Hollywood in 1995.
Exactly. Al Pacino stars as Lieutenant Vincent Hanna. Robert De Niro as Neil McCauley. Val Kilmer as Chris Shaherless. John Voight with a terrible wig, and if it's not a wig, that's awful hair, and he plays Nate. Tom Sizemore as Michael Chirito. Diane Venora as Justine, and Amy Brenneman as Edie.
And she doesn't slut shame anybody in this movie.
No, she doesn't slut shame anybody. And there is also a slew of other people in this. Danny Trejo is in this.
Machete!
So let's just dive right into this. So this movie, the beginning is basically setting up Neil McCauley, played by Robert De Niro, Chris Shaherless, played by Val Kilmer, and three other men. Trejo, played by Danny Trejo. That was super original. And Wayne Grow, played by Kevin Gage. And Michael Chirito, played by Tom Sizemore, robbing an armored car.
Great setup.
It is a great setup. But this is the issue that I have with this movie. And we'll just start it off. I love this movie. I think it's a great movie. Lot of suspense, a lot of action, followed by a lot of non-action.
Yes.
The setup by itself for this armored car robbery is almost a half an hour.
It takes a while. And I get why they're doing it. I understand what Michael Mann was trying to show, that they're professionals. They don't leave, stones unturned, yada, yada. Kind of what Al Pacino explains after.
I was going to say, Michael Mann doesn't have to do anything because Al Pacino says it 400 fucking times in the movie.
MO is that they're good. The shape charge indicates that they are technically proficient.
So you have that. And then you have Wayne Grow going crazy during the armed robbery. He shoots the one guard. They end up shooting all the guards, which pisses De Niro off. They're in the diner. De Niro starts smacking the shit out of him in the fucking diner, which is great. And then he goes to kill Wayne Grow, but then he gets away because there's a cop that comes around. And, De Niro, who totally seems like a guy who'd keep his eye on the cops and not let his lookouts look for him. And Wayne Grow gets away, and this comes back later in the movie.
Yeah, this is the one part that kind of pisses me off is, as you see throughout the movie, Neil is meticulous. He covers every single base, even to the point where he's asking Amy Brenneman, when they start hooking up, questions nonstop, so she can't ask him any questions.
Yes,
like everything about him is keeping his shit together.
Yes.
And it seems like in this one spot, above all else in the movie, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to look over here and not keep my eye on the fucking ball," which, by the way, you should probably do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the one part where it's just kind of got me. Like, why is he so rattled because the one cop car is driving by?
Yeah. And then after this, you get into, and this is the biggest issue I had. Until basically the last, hour and a half of this movie, it's like bank robbery, relationship tings, setting up for another heist, relationship tings. So it goes into here, relationship stuff. And this gets into Pacino and his wife, stepdaughter, how fucked up their whole relationship is. And he's addicted to his job and all of that stuff.
And, this is one of the cliches. I'm not saying this is a cliche in this movie because they really do it very, very well. Just showing the complete disintegration of his relationship while Neil has got his coming up.
Yeah.
And that's really what this whole movie is. It's just the contrast between the two because they are exactly the same.
Yes.
And so I respect that to an extent. It gets a little too much later on in the movie, and we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But I love this setup where they're showing that the mom is preoccupied with herself. And she even says later, she's on Prozac and weed pretty much the whole time. Her ex-husband's a piece of shit, and she's losing this husband. Doesn't really give a shit too much about Natalie Portman as the daughter.
Mom, pay attention.
Right, sweetie, all right. What?
But yeah, no, they did a really good job showing his relationship crumbling from the start.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, hey, I'm home for a quick fuck, and I'm back out the door. Time to go bust some heads. Al Pacino stuff.
And you did it perfectly because he, again, we've talked about Al Pacino ad nauseum from other movies we've done of his, and he's full on Pacino here.
Give me all you got! Give me all you got!
Again, I love Al Pacino. At his age in 1995, we got to stop seeing Al Pacino do sexy times with people.
Well, here's the first two things I noticed about the Al Pacino and really all of the people's sexy time scenes in this movie. One, Al Pacino is wearing like 3 necklaces, and his wife has 0 jewelry whatsoever on. She's not even wearing a wedding ring. Here's a PSA, guys. Hey kids, Uncle Corey here. Whether you're a man or a woman, sex with a necklace on is bad news. That's the wrong kind of hair pulling you want involved in that situation. So just don't bring it to bed. The Saint medallion, St. Christopher will be waiting for you when you're done. It's okay. So let's just stop with the necklace use.
That's how Italians bang. We gotta have necklaces, okay? Settle down over there.
I'm just telling you, you're gonna yank some hairs out, and it's not gonna be any fun. But yeah, and then the second thing is, I really had to go back like through my entire sexual history just to make sure that I didn't kiss people like white people kiss in this movie. Because to borrow a line from Iron Man 2, I think, they look like seals fighting over a grape.
Yes, that's
it's
fair.
Just if Marky Mark went too far with the grandpa kisses, this was like fishing your entire lips out and making sure no open mouthness is involved whatsoever. It was so weird.
De Niro was weird kissing in this one. I will say that.
I'm going to say this about Robert De Niro, and it's nothing about him. The man is a fucking legend.
A legend.
Obviously, if not one of the greatest top 5 actors of all time.
100%.
I have a hard time viewing Robert De Niro as a romantic kind of leading man.
Yeah. Yep.
I can't do. I can get behind Al Pacino even a little bit more, but Robert De Niro, especially in this movie, he's just so fucking bland that I can't really be like, oh, go get it. I hope you kids make it. It's like, dude, you're like 60. She's 23. You're like, let's go to New Zealand. I rob banks and kill people.
Getting back to De Niro and his crew get screwed out of money by Van Zandt. And there's that whole scene. That whole scene is fantastic, where they're doing the exchange with the money. Dude sneaks out from behind the truck. And
I love that scene. And again, it shows these guys are good. They're good!
Let me tell you, they're good.
Okay, motherfucker!
That scene when the cops get made.
Yeah.
Around the shipping containers, and he goes, "Okay, motherfucker!" Ah! That's one of my favorite scenes in movie history. I fucking love it. I was dying.
So after the whole Van Zandt scene, we have more relationship stuff. Then we get the attempted robbery of the bank. One of the cops fucks up in the truck, and De Niro and his crew bounce because they know they got made. And they walk. Al Pacino lets him go. De Niro and his crew then decide that the juice is worth the squeeze, so they decide to rob the bank. They go ahead with the robbery instead of completely walking away.
Yeah, and this is an interesting scene, too, because you really get to see kind of where everybody's at. Like, Val Kilmer's desperate. because he's got a gambling problem. So he desperately needs the one last score. He needs this.
Yeah.
And it's like pretty much the last chance he's got at saving his marriage.
Yeah.
He's actually bringing home a little bacon. So he's got that. Tom Sizemore is just, he can't make a decision on his own. He has to have.
No, he'll do whatever. He'll do whatever De Niro says.
Yep. And then like Danny Trejo, they're like, well, what about you? And he's just like, yeah, I guess. Like everybody else got cool, like thoughtful lines. And he's like, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, sure.
You just added me as an afterthought. Like, let's add Trejo. What's his name? Trejo?
What's his first name? Daniello.
Pacino then here goes after Val Kilmer's wife's boyfriend, played by Hank Azaria. And this is where, when they're giving him the whole freaking breakdown in the police station, this is where we get the great ass scene.
Why'd I get mixed up with that bitch?
Because she got a great ass. And you got your head all the way up it.
This whole scene is great, and Pacino is amazing in this scene.
He really is, dude. I have been in the camp for a long time. Spoiler alert, I love this movie myself. But I've been in the camp for a long time where I wasn't in love with Al Pacino in this movie. I didn't think he was bad. I just was like, all right, cool, he's Al Pacino. I have totally changed my perspective on his character. His character is by far the one I most, not necessarily identify with, but the one I care about the most.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to see where his character goes. I would follow his character further on. I mean, at the end of the movie, you don't have a choice. But, like, if they were to go further, you know what I mean? Like, him as a series would be very interesting.
Neil and his crew know that Pacino was onto them. This is where you get the scene.
Is this the shipping container scene?
The shipping container scene.
And again, this is where I like the contrast. I like seeing, like, they're as good as the cops are. The cops are as good as the criminals are. But also, it's just like you're hitting the nail way too hard on the head.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's way too perfect of a strike. And an example I'll give you is in one of these scenes in between, they show all of Neil's crew out to dinner, right?
Yeah.
They're out to dinner. You have Val Kilmer and his wife, and they're trying to get back together because Neil told the wife, like, you're going to give him one more fucking shot or I'll set you up myself. Well, if you notice, Tom Sizemore's wife in that scene is a fucking lookalike to Ted Levine's Buffalo Bill's wife.
Yes.
In the scene when all the cops go to dinner.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so now I can spot who everybody is. Like, this crew has a Mexican guy. The cops have a Mexican guy. Way to go. You know what I mean? Like, it's way too... That's my one and only beef with this entire movie is you're trying to show us way too hard how similar these guys' lives are.
Yes. Pacino then in the next scene pulls over De Niro, takes him out for coffee, and they talk. This scene is an incredible scene by two motherfucking titans in the industry. Yep. And to see that play out, the whole and Pacino does his Pacino thing, and then De Niro has his, like, I'm just going to lay back a little bit, and he's going to do his thing. And to see it all play out is amazing. This whole scene is great.
Yeah, this is an example for anybody out there wanting to do anything in the film industry. This is an example of everything being done 100% correctly. Because if you were to tell me that somebody took words on a page and turned it into that scene with the patience and the pauses, the consideration of what the other person was saying to them. Dude,
it's amazing.
It is honestly one of my favorite scenes ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, I had to stop it and watch it 3 times. Because one, I wanted to hear the dialogue because I'm a word nerd. So I wanted to hear everything they were actually saying, which is perfect, by the way.
Yeah.
Then I moved on to just watch kind of how it was shot and the lighting and kind of the background. And again, perfect. And then you go back and you watch the actual actor's performance. Like I said, the pauses they're taking, the way it sounds like a real conversation.
Yep.
Perfect. Every single bit of this scene is perfect.
I do what I do best.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, anybody out there. I think this was the first time ever that Pacino and De Niro were actually on screen at the same time.
I think it was. I'm
like,
almost,
I know they were in Godfather 2, but they never had a scene together.
No, they never shared a scene. This was the first time, I think, because I remember back when I saw it, when it came out, there was the big deal about them two sharing a scene together.
Yeah.
So that, I'm almost positive that's right. After their meeting, De Niro's whole crew ghosts their tails. They set up the bank heist. They pull the bank job, and Pacino's team gets the tip. They show up as De Niro and his crew are leaving, and that sets off one of the best scenes in the film, as there's a shootout in the streets, and the bullets are whizzing everywhere. People are getting shot. Everybody's got a goddamn machine gun. It's so tense. And this is right here. It's basically from the scene where Pacino and De Niro have coffee through the rest of the movie. Give me that movie. All the setup, all the relationship things, all of that shit.
Yeah.
For me, for the birds. It's for the... just give me the movie from the coffee scene on. Give me the armed robbery coffee scene on. That's it. That's all I want.
And here's why I will slightly disagree with you. I will respectfully disagree with you there.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I like it for the simple fact that the background made me care about who gets shot throughout this movie and the weight it holds. So like when Ted Levine is shot, he's one of the first cops to go down.
Yep.
Dude, his death is fucking brutal. Like, first off, they did a great job with the makeup and whatever they did, because that dude, he looked fucking dead.
Yeah.
Like, for real dead. And that actually held weight because you did see his wife. You did have him talk. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So you did get to see that a little bit more, which did hype the tension up a little bit. When Sizemore gets shot, when Val Kilmer gets shot, you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
The only one you really don't care about because he comes in so late is Dennis Haysbert, which, by the way, don't you ever motherfucking neglect Dennis Haysbert's name on this show ever again. That man is a god.
I will try not to ever again.
And speaking of God, no pun intended, if you haven't seen him on Lucifer, the new season that came out,
yes,
dude, he's so good. I love Dennis Haysbert.
Oh, he's fantastic.
My favorite part of the scene, and this is where I give Michael Mann shit tons of credit, is it's just the gunfire.
Yeah.
There's no music. There's no dialogue. Nobody's dropping a yippee-ki-yay motherfucker.
That's what I really, really liked about it. Like, it was just
loud.
Yeah.
If you have that, like, the volume going and you have some good speakers, holy shit, dude. It sounds like fucking you're in the middle of a gunfight. I could not imagine. I wish I had the knowledge I do now, like everybody else does when this movie came out, because I was a kid. And hearing that in the theater, dude.
Yeah.
Please re-release this movie.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
I just want to hear that scene in the theater.
At the end of this scene, De Niro and Kilmer get away after Val Kilmer gets shot. De Niro helps him to a car. They peel out. They leave. And
I would like to point out, this is the first time that De Niro breaks his own rule.
Yes.
Because technically, he should have walked away. He's down. Not your problem.
Yeah.
Go. But he didn't. He started breaking his own rules.
I wrote it off, and the only reason I wrote it off in this scenario was because Val Kilmer had the other bag.
Which is fair.
So that's why I wrote it off in this scene. But then Sizemore gets shot in the head by Pacino after he takes the young kid hostage. He's running away. He turns around. Pacino puts one right in his skull. Great shot by Pacino, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And I do like how they did John Voight earlier in the movie goes through basically Al Pacino's resume.
Yeah.
Like, he was in narcotics, he did this, he's a fucking cowboy, he was in the Marine Corps. So they do establish the universe where he is a marksman.
Yeah.
We
get it, he's good.
He could do this and make that shot, which was good because, if you just go into that with no context, just like a fucking detective is picking up a fucking assault rifle and just wiping the fuck out of somebody. Come on.
Yeah. So after this, Chris's wife, Val Kilmer's wife, Charlene, played by Ashley Judd, she gets taken in by the cops, so she'll give Val Kilmer up because they threatened to take her kid and all of that stuff. So they're staying with her at their place so that she could basically dime him out. After this scene, you have more relationship things. De Niro's girlfriend, Edie, finds out who he really is, that he was in the shootout. She freaks the fuck out. She runs away, leaves. He chases her down. Then she leaves on her own accord, like 2 minutes later. She's like, can I go? Like, you're not going to kill me? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. So she leaves. But then she comes back like 3 scenes later, and she's just like, yeah, cool. I guess, like, we'll leave together.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that as well, because she does such a great job when she finds out of playing disgusted.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
You're touching me, let alone trying to kiss me, is repulsive. Like, it's making her skin crawl. It's
like she saw the scenes before it when De Niro was kissing her and was like, that's gross.
Exactly. Hey, wait for me, bad grandpa. So she does such a great job there, only to turn around so quickly and just be like, you lied, you robbed the bank, you killed people. Fucking New Zealand, though, is banging right now. I'm young, YOLO, let's go.
Yeah, it made it look like she was just like, money, and we're good.
And then I kind of remembered that I wrote a similar character who found out that their boyfriend was an assassin, and they kind of didn't give a fuck very quickly. So I was like, I don't care. Way to go, guys.
You know what? Good point. Good book, by the way. And let's move on to the next. Yeah, you're welcome. Pacino then comes home to find his wife, Justine, cheating on him with Ralph. This scene is fantastic. And Pacino does such a really good job here.
This has nothing to do with me. I didn't know. I'm terribly sorry.
What are you sorry about? Sit down. But you do not get to watch my fucking television set.
I've never been Ralph, but I feel so bad for him in this situation. One, if you knew she was married, that's fucked up. But he doesn't really understand. Like, he doesn't look like he's totally been fully briefed on the situation.
Yes.
And I have heard a lot of people complain in this situation that Al Pacino doesn't beat the shit out of Ralph. Which I like that he doesn't, because he's a cop.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes, he's a good cop. Like, the only people he's fucking up through this movie are actually people that deserve to be fucked up.
Yeah, but in another 3 or 4 scenes, when they're in the hospital, he already knows that the marriage is done, and they're basically just biding time until she leaves, basically, or kicks him out or whatever.
Yeah.
So he already knows it's over. So, like, at that point, it's like, sit down, Ralph. Like, it's fine. But you know what? I'm taking my fucking TV just as a point of contention. This is my motherfucking TV. Don't watch my TV.
And by the way, if you're going through this movie and you thought to yourself, what happened to Natalie Portman? You're a better parent than anybody else in this movie, including myself, because I didn't remember she was around either.
No, she kind of disappears and then she pops up here in a little bit. So De Niro takes Chris, Val Kilmer's character, to the doctor, and he gets sewn up and whatever.
A more pervy than usual looking Jeremy Piven.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so Val Kilmer says, well, I'm going to go out on my own instead of bouncing together. And De Niro's trying to get him to just fucking skip town. Like, we got to get out of here. He says, no, I want to go after Ashley Judd and my family and yada yada, and we're gonna make it work, and we're gonna go, I don't know, fucking PTA meetings or whatever. So he decides that he's gonna go out on his own and try to get her. Chris then heads home. Charlene gives him the signal to walk away because the cops are there, and this is the problem that I had with this scene. So she gives
a
him,
good woman standing by her man? You got a problem with that?
I appreciate all of that. She gives him the boop, boop, gotta walk, cut bait. He drives away. It's Val Kilmer, okay? I'm not saying the cops are like, hey, pull over a guy that looks like Val Kilmer. But he's got a very distinct looking face. Nobody's got it was 95. I know they didn't have cell phones and shit with like photos. You don't have the photocopy. It's Val Kilmer. They pull him over and they're like, nope, says here it's John Johnson lives at 313 Johnny Johnson Street. He's looks like he's good to go. He uses a fake ID and the cops are like, yep, let him go. He just killed 17 police officers. Nobody's got a photo of this guy.
Dude, you've never lived in LA. 9 out of 10 people look like Val Kilmer.
That's fair. That's
Especially
fair.
that version of Val Kilmer. Either the ponytail version or the crew top version. Those are the two Val Kilmers that run around LA. So
Yeah.
Let him go.
that's the one point of contention. Fuck the guy looking like him. What's wrong with your arm? We knew there was a guy wounded in the firefight. What's wrong with your arm there, bro? You look like shit.
You look pale as fuck.
Cold sweating. He gained 5 pounds in his face after he cut his hair.
Yeah.
What? Like, something is wrong with you, dude. That fucking bandage is messed up.
Exactly. I got in a car accident right before I got here, officer.
Right? I will say this, though.
You're white, sir. Go right on ahead. That's the LAPD for you.
There it is.
Pacino then goes home to find his stepdaughter, Natalie Portman, in the bathtub in a suicide attempt. Because nobody else paid any attention to her, including the audience, for a better part of this movie.
No.
But he seems like the only one that actually gives a squirt of piss about her. Like, he's picked her up, she's seen her on the side of the road, yada, yada. Like, he's been the one that's, like, trying to reach out and, make sure she's okay. He knows that her dad's a piece of shit and he's never around and whatever. So he's the one that finds her. He ties her up, gets her to the hospital. And now the mom's like, oh, that's okay. You can go ahead and leave. Like, I got this. Do you? Do you got it? Because I'm going to go ahead and venture a guess and say, you fucking don't got it.
Right. Exactly. I don't have much faith for Natalie Portman's character in this movie. I don't think they're going on to win an Oscar for Black Swan.
No, not at all.
So, yeah, it just, that whole thing's fucked up, and you hate to see. What I hated to see was the conversation, like, well, do you think we could still make it? And then Al Pacino's got to be like, no. Like you said, I'm just a go-getter and blah, blah, blah. I got to go get what I'm after. How about this? No, you fucked Ralph because you were mad at me and you wanted attention, you fucking psycho. No.
Exactly. Well, and a lot of this goes on Pacino. It's like, listen, get married once, cool, it doesn't work out. Get married twice, cool, it doesn't work out. Get married a third time, that shit's on you, pal. Like, that's...
I know that. You've told me. I won't do it again.
So, but this is the part in the movie that really pisses me off. Like, to my heights. You get all of this buildup and all of this background that's a point of contention between us, apparently, that I don't think we need it, but apparently we do. I would rather not have it because here, De Niro, while leaving with Edie, finds out where Waingro is staying, and he decides that he needs to kill him because of stuff and things. And this completely, for me, you might say that the Val Kilmer scene in the Shootout breaks character, and he goes against his own rules. This completely breaks character. Listen, you can't get out of town. You got all the goddamn money. You can't hire somebody to put a hit out on this dude. Get the fuck out of Dodge. He cuts across 17 lanes of traffic, and he's like, well, I found out he's here. I guess we're fucking going here. I got to make a quick pit stop. And she says nothing. She just goes, are you sure that's a good idea? Or like, are we okay to do that? And he was like, oh, yeah, got plenty of time. Got plenty of time.
Yeah, she's like midway through a Patty Hearst syndrome, like complete breakdown. So
yeah, I give her a pass.
I don't get what's going on with her. And by the way, if you notice, because she's the last one to do it, Val Kilmer's the first one, like in the very opening scene when he's buying the explosives. There's an awful lot of mouth breathing going on in this movie, and I don't understand what the point of it is. Like, there's just
a little bit.
Nobody's exasperated. There's mouth breathing. It's really weird.
Fucking mouth breathers.
What kept going through my mind when this scene happened was what Harvey Keitel says in Dusk Till Dawn.
Are you such a fucking loser? You can't tell when you've won.
You've won.
Yeah.
You have won. This fucking redneck piece of trash, he's already under surveillance. They're going to get him for something else. Yeah. Not a problem. It's not worth it.
And again, hire somebody else to do it.
Yeah, if you find out in a month you've been chilling in New Zealand, you've been kicking it on the beach, and you're like, oh, you know what? I still really want to kill that guy. You know people back in the States. Handle your business, bro.
That's it. So this is the one scene. Yeah, this is the one scene that really pissed me off.
This is why Al Pacino ends up winning. Because he never breaks character. He stayed true to who he was.
He's the same guy the whole time.
His wife in that hospital and take care of Natalie Portman and made sure they were there and worked on their marriage and yada yada. Nope. I am who I am. And he went out and he hunted and he did exactly what he was supposed to do. De Niro, from the point he picked Val Kilmer up to the point where he got Amy Brenneman to go with him to the point where he goes after Wayne Grow, that is why he fails.
Yes, absolutely. And then he goes to the hotel, pulls the fire alarm, gets into Wayne Grow's room, and then has got to talk to him for a minute. Look at me. And then he puts two in him and he leaves. Pacino shows up, and this is where the chase begins. De Niro's walking to the car. He's basically face to face with Edie. He sees Pacino coming, and the heat's right around the corner, and he drops bait and walks away. Which
should have done this from the fucking jump.
Exactly. Like, he listens to his own rules now, but if you did it before, you're not here. You're already in the clear blue skies.
Al Pacino even says it.
Yeah.
Pacino says it when he's back at the headquarters. He's gone.
Neil is gone. Bam! Flying like a bird.
This is when the chase begins. The chase heads into the LAX airfield, and it ends as De Niro pops out to kill Pacino. Pacino sees De Niro's shadow first, spins around, kills him, and the movie ends as they shake hands and De Niro dies.
I will say two things. One, again, credit to Michael Mann with the shadows and the lights coming up on the runway and all that. Fucking great scene. It was a good way to build the tension.
Yes.
And I loved them kind of shaking hands at the end. Mm-hmm. Just kind of that, you did you, I did me. We both knew what we were going to do. They set it up at the coffee shop with their conversation, how it was going to end. Ended just like that. And it wasn't like, oh my God, you actually shot me. It was, we're cool.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And again, when this movie came out in theaters, mm-hmm. I was, because loved both of these guys, still do.
Oh, yeah.
And they were, I mean, you talk about mega superstar actors.
Yes.
95, they were like, it's not like now. Like now you kind of see them in a movie and you're like,
right. Like, oh, they're getting gold. That's cool.
Yeah, I should have skipped this script. But back then I was like, dude, I was bought in. This movie was the shit. Loved the movie. But when I look back at it now, still love this movie. I still think this movie holds up. I would have probably trimmed about 30 to 40 minutes off this film. I understand, because again, I like the cat and mouse. I like the cop, thriller, drama, bank heist kind of thing. I love those kind of films. But I'm also not a moron. And I don't need as much backstory and build-up. I get it. They're good. I understand that, you know what I mean? If they just trimmed a little fat, and for me, there was a lot of fat to trim, believe me, I sat and enjoyed this for 3 fucking hours. But if I had my druthers, I would trim about 30 minutes off this film.
That's fair. That's fair. I get it. You don't like feelings. They're
no.
And gooey.
Yes, feelings and relationships and things. Just ask my wife. It's just not a thing.
Oh. She told me you kiss like they do with this movie. But no, I think this is one of the best movies ever made. I don't know if I put it in my top 10. It's definitely in my 15. I'd really have to sit down and think about that. It is by far the best heist movie I've ever seen. It's my favorite cops versus robbers movie I've ever seen.
It's one of my tops as far as like best cops and robbers type.
I completely did a 180. I was a huge. When this came out, I was in Team Robert De Niro. I was all about his character. I wanted him to win. Now that I was watching it, I really liked Al Pacino's character far more, just from the standpoint, like we said earlier, he had a code and he stuck to it. Yeah. If you've ever seen The Wire, Omar told you a man has got to have a code, and that is all that fucking movie sums up to be for me. Is they both had a code. One broke it, one stuck to it. The one who stuck to it won.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You're 100% right. But at the end of the day, dude, this movie absolutely still holds up. Let us know what you guys think. If you thought it was too long and you guys don't like feelings and such. But again, this was another request, so thank you again. We're going to continue to do the requests, and every comment that we see that. I do apologize because I'm in a closet right now, and because my move, the movers haven't brought any of my furniture, so my house is completely empty, and I decided to do it in the closet.
Mom! Tom Cruise won't come out of the closet!
What?
Tom Cruise locked himself in my closet and he won't come out.
Hey, Tom, it's John Travolta. Tom, you gotta come out of the closet. Oh, my God.
Hopefully by next week, we'll be, at least I'll be back in a studio and doing this thing, so.
Yeah, my shit ain't ever changing. I'm stuck here. This is my purgatory.
Yes, I know. It's all right. You got anything else for this film?
No, sir. It is a fantastic movie. Thank you. Obviously, keep suggesting it. As we said in Dead Presidents, the more movies that get requests, the faster we're going to do them. The more requests we get per movie, the faster we're going to get to it. So if you want to, tell your friends to request like a motherfucker too, please. And thank you, everybody. We've seen our subscribers grow up. The views have gone up. Everything's gone up. It's all because you guys. We don't do shit to market ourselves. We don't know how to. So it's all you guys. Thank you so much. That's all.
Absolutely. Well, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1995's Heat.
Great ass!